Well, hello everybody. We put a video up here a few days ago of Andhe, the name of the truck here, and said we'd get back and do a little bit of a history thing on it. And it's kind of an interesting little story to me. It is. I was living in the Panhandle of Florida at the time, and found this truck in New Deal, Texas. It's just a little bit above Lubbock there, and bought it from the guy, super nice guy, and just took a chance on it and drove it all the way back to Laurel Hill, Florida, and it pulled in the shop and been working on it for ever since then. And that would have been in 22. Is that in 22?
I think it was.
Yeah, that would have been in 22. In 2022. So anyway, I was working full-time and working on this at the same time. So anyway, had not a lick of trouble. Bobtailed it all the way back, and it ran like a champ. It's a 60 series Detroit 9-speed, and I originally had a 10 in it, but somebody's changed it out to a 9. But not a lick of problem. The thing ran strong all the way back, and started working on it, and it was pretty mechanically sound. Somebody had did some work to it prior to me buying it, and had a new AC compressor on it, had a new starter on it, had a new air compressor on it, and so all that was in good shape. Now it needed a bath. They had really been keeping up with the greasing on it, because it had grease everywhere, which is good. So anyway, pressure washed it, and I just started working on it whenever I had the time. And so anyhow, got a few little things inside here that's a little different. That like some little, I ordered these little buttons from Amazon. They're snaps. It goes on Western shirts, and you know, sometimes you can buy the pretty little doo-wah-dee-dees that cover up the screws and stuff. But anyway, I put them on all the screws, and that kind of, I don't know, dresses it up a little bit.
Gave it personality.
Give it a little personality, yeah. And
what about that there?
well, this panel is actually not the panel that came with it. The panel that came with it had a lot of the veneer coming off of it, or a sticker, whatever it is. And so I bought this panel from a wrecking yard. And so, but it had, the truck does not have Jake brakes on it, but the truck that this came out of had Jake brakes on it. So I left them in there, and the cruise and all that is on up here on this panel, but none of this works. It's just filling up holes, but it had other holes in it, so I ended up getting creative with different things to cover up the holes. That's one little thing, and then just put a few little old rocks and decorations around on it stuff, and I put a Wetline kit on it, and I'll show y'all all that here in just a few minutes. And it didn't have any kind of indicator light that came with it to tell whenever I had the PTO pump engaged. So I added this on, and this red light in the center, so whenever it comes on, or whenever I engage my PTO, that red light will come on and tell me that the pump's engaged. So anyhow, let's get outside and walk around and take a little look at it. It's nothing special, but if anybody can get any ideas or tips or constructive criticism, we're all ears. So let's go take a look around. Okay, it's just a plain Jane stock older 12.7 Detroit 60 series. It's the lower horsepower. It's 3.400, so it's not the powerhouse. It's a little bit of the early one, smaller one. DDEC 2, I believe, is what they say. So anyway, pretty much this side of it. I haven't had to do a whole lot of work on this side. Added a turbo gauge to it, and painted these. My son painted these, and kind of painted up there, cleaned a little bit, put a fresh air cleaner in there, and ain't had no work hard to do on this side. Had to put a new fan on it. The other one was cracked, and put a rebuilt fan clutch on there, and put new hoses there, new turbo boot hoses, and that's pretty much all there is to show on this side. Got a few chicken lights up under the hood there. We'll do a video on a night light in the next video or something. So anyhow, we'll go to the other side real quick. This side I've had to do a little bit more work on. Replaced all new AC hoses up here. Had them built. New dryer. All these are new. There's another condenser on the front, evaporator, whichever one it is. I can never keep them straight. But anyhow, put that new on there. And where's new things here? And I rigged this up, which is probably not the best idea. But anyhow, you can drain the radiator pretty quick with a valve, and I got a plug on in just in case the valve gets open. If you need to work on that, you can put your bucket in there, drain that pretty easily. Put new lines on the front, one of those brake chambers. Put a new turbo on it. That was an interesting project. Anyhow, that's just the new one that went on there wasn't any good, so I had to get one reordered and put it on there. So far no problems out of it yet. This thing here, the oil cooler, went to leaking, and ended up changing that. And all there is to that really is if you can get these bolts out. Those were the booger bear, and inside there's just a big O-ring or two that puts it up inside the block there, and inside it has got a coil in it that's brand new as well. So anyhow, stop that oil leak. But anyhow, that's pretty much it on this side. Alright, and the front of it might look a little different, but that's okay. Good friend of mine in Florida, he's an old school trucker, great guy, named Vernon, and he helped me out tremendously on this truck. Had a bunch of parts and he gave me, and this and that. So this is one of them right here, this tag holder, and he gave me that Freightliner frame to go around the tag on it. So this brass, so he gave me that. And I had the Fender mirrors. A lot of people don't like the Fender mirrors, but that's okay, I like them. Put the bug guard on it. Those are a little tricky to get on there. But anyhow, did that. Going around the side, I painted the bumper, kind of straightened it up a little bit. And gave the truck a number, and it's truck number 8. And actually that is a brass bushings out of a hydraulic pump. And they were polished and put them on, so kind of a little different. Like I said, the name of the truck is Andhe. You could see that it's spelt a little differently. And if you guys hang around to the end of the video, I'll tell you the reason and the story of how it got its name. So anyway, and something I have noticed is that nobody pays attention to blinkers. So I decided to try to remedy that. We got blinkers here. We got blinkers here. And we have blinkers here and here and here, and as well as what's normal on the back. So anyway, I'm hoping people can see blinkers. Might be a little too much to ask sometimes, but nonetheless, maybe they'll stumble across them.
That's a lot of hope.
That's a lot of hope. That's a lot of hope. And so anyway, they had fairings all down it. I took the fairings off, and there was another fella sold me these brackets for the steps, put the steps on here. The fenders are pretty much bad shape anyway, so. And I like this look a little better for myself, so anyway, put them on there. And anyway, on around the back here, this was already on here, which I thought was pretty cool. So I figured I'd leave it and do something with it. And we cut them out of a piece of stainless, put them on there, and they light up at night. And, bought the headache rack from a guy I used to work for years ago, and anyhow, he sold me a little headache rack to it on there. It did not have a Wetline kit on it, so I installed a 2-line Wetline kit and mounted it to a piece of aluminum channel. Got the quick disconnects. That's just a little toolbox for keeping oil, what you not in there. And made these in these mud flaps. Of course, truck's down. It ain't been running. The airbags is down. But these flaps are actually a walking mat that comes from Tractor Supply. You can buy one mat for about $50 and make you some mud flaps out of it. It takes a little bit of work and they're a little tough.
How many how many mats did you need for all the flaps?
I had to do with 2 on the back and then the 2 on the quarter fenders.
Is that?
But there was enough in that one mat to do it twice.
Okay.
I gave the rest of the mat to that friend of mine, Vernon.
All right.
So he could use it. Painted all the frame. All this was not going to rust because, like I said, it had plenty of grease all over it. And, which, like I said, is a good thing. They were really keeping good on the greasing. And I like the old school rims. I painted them, sandblasted them, painted them with just old Rust-Oleum Lowe's rattle can paint. And, got them looking a little bit better. They got some paint that's I think it's called VHT header paint, and it's pretty expensive. But anyhow, I used that on these exhaust pieces, and it's held up pretty good to that. And it won't hold up to a turbo. it'll burn the turbo, burn it right off of there. And I had a whole bucket. That's the hydraulic tank for the Wetline kit. And I had a whole bucket of stainless steel fittings that I had come across in the past. And they're a little oversized, but they were free to me, and so I piped it with stainless steel fittings. Put all them on there. And one thing that I think is pretty handy is that's a quick disconnect. You can hook any air hose to it. Hook your air hose to it, air up your tires. You can run a little small air impact or whatever out of that. So anyway, that's a neat little idea, I think. And, anyway, pretty much the same thing on this side. Got plenty of work lights for working in the dark, and old school Whoopie lights. I got them out of the top of an old barn and put them on there. And that LED stuff, it's all old school. So, nothing wrong with LED stuff. It's just what was cool. But anyway, it needs a bath.
A little bit.
And that's what happens out here. You get a little rain, then it gets dry, and the wind blows, and turns out looks like right like
Here
this.
you have it.
So,
a nice desert patina.
Yeah, nice desert patina. And I found some horseshoes in a bucket, and that's aluminum horseshoes. So I polished them up and used stainless steel screws to hold them on. I think there's more money in the stainless steel screws holding them on than there is in the horseshoe. But at any rate, that's Andy.
All right.
In a nutshell, there'll be more to come. Maybe get a nighttime clip of the lights and stuff like that. I got some old school inside lights. People will take them, put them under their seat right there. I got them going, a couple under the dash, and there's a few more in the bunk.
But do you have fuzzy dice?
Yeah, it's complete with fuzzy dice. Yes, ma'am.
Style right there.
Little character, little personality.
Okay. Well, you're gonna explain that name next.
Yeah, we'll go up in here and sit back in the captain's chair and we'll talk about the name.
All right.
All right, so how did the truck get its name? And I'll try to keep this as short as possible, but it's very important to me why it's named the name it's named. When I started out on this venture, I had drove over the road years ago, and I had quit driving for a while, for several years, and got into some other things and did them for a while, but always kept nagging me to try to get back in the trucking again and get back in the trucking. And so I thought about it and I prayed about it for a while, and I just kept wanting to find me a truck. I hadn't drove in a long time, but wanted to find a truck. Still had my license and everything. Didn't let that go or nothing. And just something kept at me about find your truck, find your truck, find your truck. Well, okay. So the trip that we bought this truck on was actually a road trip from northwest Florida all the way out to Oklahoma, and looking different places and stuff. And so we were coming on back from Oklahoma, headed to New Mexico, and done looked at several trucks, and they were all way too high for what I could afford. And so we seen on the left hand side of the interstate coming through Lubbock, just before we get into Lubbock, a new deal. And I seen a building over there, had a bunch of old trucks out back, and I about didn't even stop. And I was done disgusted with looking at everything. And so anyhow, about didn't stop. And finally said, well, what have we got to lose? So went back and talked to the guy, and it was a truck that they were using. So we negotiated on the price, and give me a very practical price on it. So I said, well, let me think about it, and so we test drove it and did okay. And it was late at night, the time we got through there, and went on to Hobbs, and I told him I was going to think about it and I'd get back with him. So prayed about it, and just asked the Lord, what should I do? Is this the one? Is this not the one? And so anyway, ended up buying the truck and coming on back. Like I said, it made it all the way to Florida. Never had a hiccup, never missed a lick, and I thank the good Lord for that. And so all through this project, I've relied on the Lord to help me with knowledge and working. I'm a shade tree mechanic, but never worked on a big truck for much. But He has blessed me through this whole thing. And so got to trying to name the truck. And so the name come up of Andhe. And but it's spelled different, and he is the way that it goes in the song, and so we shortened it up and called it Andhe. But the meaning of the name Andhe is goes with the song that and the line in the song says, and he walks with me and he talks with me. And so and the Lord will do that if you will let Him. If you'll draw closer to Him and let Him guide your life, He will do that. And it doesn't mean everything's going to be perfect. Doesn't mean everything's going to be roses. But he will guide you in your life. So I'm seeking the Lord and wanting him to bless this adventure. And also I'd like for this truck in some way to be a testimony as to what he's doing for me in my life and what he's willing to do for you and yours. So that's the story behind the name. And, so we're new at all this, folks, and trying to get this channel up and going as best we can. And it's just about our life and what we do. And we like to cook a little bit. We like to smoke a little meat when we can. And we got like to take road trips on an old van that we've named Boomer. And we might have some of that up on the channel at some point in time. It's an old 94 Chevrolet conversion van that we have a ball with. So anyhow, forgive us for the wind noise, anything else that's wrong. Be patient with us. We'll try to do better as we learn. And like I said, it's just about our lives and us doing what we do. And y'all just remember that Lord loves you and he gave his life for you.